Like many of us, at the end of each year, around November, December, I sit down and I decide on what planning system I want to use going into the new year. I have tried so many options spanning paper planners, apps, and digital planners, so I have a good collection of experience with different things. This year alone, I have tried about 5 different systems and methods of planning, and I know that sounds like a lot, but different things work for me at different times. So today I wanted to sit down and talk to you about the different systems I've tried the first half of this year and kind of rank them and give you the pros and cons and what I feel is going to work for me throughout at least the foreseeable next few months. I hope you enjoyed this video and find some inspiration to start your own planning system. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get right into it. So let's kick things off with Notion. I love Notion, and if you have been around on my channel, you know I've talked about it a few times throughout certain videos here on this platform. And I really love Notion because of its flexibility to create templates and just really get in there and customize different layouts. I also love the fact that you can play around with formulas and really streamline your workflow. At the end of 2023, I decided I wanted to use a more digital form of planning going into 2024. 2023, I used paper planning the entire time, and so I kind of wanted to switch things up, but I wasn't ready to dive into the world of digital planning in the sense of using like a digital planner on my iPad. So I went on a YouTube search to see who was using Notion as a planner, what kind of layouts and templates were they using, and I came across a creator who not only broke down what she was doing, but also offered a template that I could purchase for download. Now, I did an entire video dedicated to my Notion setup where I showed you my dashboard that includes my personal planner, my content planner, my tech learning planner. All of that was in that video, so if you're interested in that, I will link it above and put it in the description below. But that template really did help set up what I call my go-to Notion situation. Now, the personal planner that I downloaded was able to be customized and tweaked to my liking, and I love that, but I also love that it already came in a to-do list style. I kind of like that, and I was able to see every day of the week at a glance. I usually put the top 3 most important things that I wanted to get done that day at the very top, and then there was a divider separating the rest of the tasks. So I had an unlimited amount of space to add more to-dos for that day. And then if I had any birthdays or special events that had an actual hard set due date, I would put those at the very, very top of that day, so right above the 3 priorities, and I was able to see it right when I opened the page. The first pro was that I was able to see everything at a glance. I was able to see not only the day that I was on, but things coming down the pipeline in the other days of the week. Whereas before I was used to like a daily style planning where I could only see things on that day, and I hadn't really future planned anything. So any appointments and things were just causing me to flip pages, or they just weren't there. Now, the second thing I loved was the fact that I could put my 3 priorities right in a designated space, and I was able to see them very easily. We all hear that when you're setting up planners and you're doing your planning system, that it's really good to keep in mind the 3 top things that you have to get done within that day. Like for me today is filming this video, so your non-negotiables basically for that day, and anything else that comes after that is just a bonus. So I was loving the fact that I could actually see that right at the top of the list every day. Another thing that I loved was the fact that I could move things around to my liking. So I can move around to different tasks without having to type them out or erase them and put them back. I could just drag and drop them to either another day, or I can drag and drop them in the order that they need to go in. I'm a big visual person, so if I have something that I feel like should happen earlier in the day, I kind of want that task to fall at the top of the list and kind of work my way down throughout the day to the time, according to the time, even if the time is not listed on there. Hopefully that makes sense, but I really love the fact that I could reorder things without erasing them and having to type the task out all over again. Another thing I loved was the archiving situation that I had set up. Instead of me having all of these different weeks just following after, one after another on the page and making it this huge long Notion page, I was able to take each week when I was done with it, collapse it, drag and drop it into my archive folder, and have it there for safekeeping. So I love to go back and look at things that I did the previous week because it helps me plan for the following week. I've always been like that. No matter what the planning system is, I need to see what I didn't get done within that other week, see if it's still relevant and important, and if it needs to be migrated to the next week. So that really helped to be able to go back and see, okay, what did I do last month? Was there an appointment? When was the last time my daughter had a doctor's appointment? Things like that, without completely deleting them. They had a place to live. And then once that year is done, my thought was to then have all of those collectively drug into a folder that says Archive 2024. And the last pro I have is the accessibility. So I could see this planner from my iPad, my iPhone, my MacBook, because obviously they're all on the same iCloud account. And anywhere that I went, I was able to check off things that I needed to get done. If I was at work, I could add things to my to-do list and, still have access to my planner no matter what device I was on and where I was at. That was probably the biggest thing that made this planner so amazing, and having that digital system. Now on to the cons. There are only 2 cons. One of them, I don't even know if I should necessarily consider it a con, because looking back, I could have definitely added a section for this. But one of my cons was that it didn't come with a place for me to like brain dump my ideas and things that I wanted to do each week. So I love to, at the start of the week on Sundays, that's like my planning reset day. I love to sit down and just literally make a whole list of things that I would love to get done that week, whether it's household things like mopping, vacuuming, cleaning my daughter's room, whatever it is, different studying, different videos that I want to post, anything that I can think of. I like to make one long list, and then I have that one long list to kind of pull from throughout the week and say, okay, it's Monday, I'm working from home, I don't have much to do, I can film a video. So then I'll drag that over or pull from that list, film a video, and I'll plug it in for Monday. So I love to have this overall brain dump running list of tasks that I can pull from throughout the week. And I did not have that with this digital planner, but like I said, maybe it's not a con because I could easily add it in. It would have been easier to have it already there because it was already a template made, ready to go. But something that you can add. And the last thing was actually a con for me, because I am a person that gets easily overwhelmed. I really do not like that about myself, but it is what it is. I get easily overwhelmed. So having the ability to add so many different task lists under my 3 top priorities kind of was like, okay, that's cool that you can add so many and you can have this unlimited space to work with. But it also is like, if you don't have any control over what you're doing, you could end up with like 20 things in one day that you're not going to be able to get through, but you want to put on there anyway. And it kind of makes you feel bad when you don't complete a lot of them, or at least some of them, when in reality, if you were to complete, like I said, those top 3 and that was all you did, then that's good enough. But seeing so many tasks on my days, I would like pack those up, and it would be really unrealistic, but I was very ambitious. Like I would want to do my kids' hair and also give the dog a bath and also have family time, but also study and just so many different things. And this is like on the days I'm actually going to work. So I'm not even getting home till 5 p.m. to start these things. So how am I going to do all this? But yeah, I think that was a con, was just the amount of time, space that was given was just a little bit too much. And I kind of work as a person that needs to be a little bit more restricted in a sense. So would I revisit this style of planning? Yes, because overall I do enjoy the style of planning. I did enjoy it. I think I used it for about 2 to 3 months of the year, the first part of this year. So I did really enjoy it. I would just tweak it with the cons that I talked about. I would maybe try to figure out a way to limit myself with the tasks that I have available, or how many tasks I'm planning for each day. And then I would just add a brain dump section where I could really just, go in there and throw all the things that I want to get done that week into one spot and have it to where I can just drag and drop them into each day. So overall, I did like this system. Now, the second system I want to talk about is the Hobonichi Cousin. I loved this planner. I used it for the entirety of 2023. I used it to help me with my wedding planning. I would put some of my work tasks in there, at least for sure, like the meetings, so I knew what time things were going on. I would put those in my planner. All of my personal planning I put in there, and I tried something new that I had never tried before. And again, I do have a video where I kind of break this down a little bit more, but I got this method from another YouTuber, which I will definitely put their name up and credit them. But I loved using the system that I used in this planner because it was more of a mind mapping system. And the idea was to not just make these to-do lists or just write down the goal or the tasks that you have to do, but to actually think about things from a goal standpoint. So I would literally write the word goal in the middle of a circle and then branch off into all the different major goals that I set for the year. So for instance, the first part of that year was wedding planning. So I had a section called wedding planning. Then I had my personal goals. Then I had, I believe, my study goals, and I had content goals. And then I had like a miscellaneous thing where I tend to put like random things or things that I wanted to do around the house. So not only was I able to always have different tasks that I was working on each day that got me to the bigger goal for each goal that I set for myself. But I was also able to have this place where I can kind of keep track of like what it is that was going on. So I really loved that system. And like I said, I was able to stick with it for an entire year, and I highly recommend it. With that being said, I do want to talk about the pros and cons because there are a few cons with this system, but we'll get into those in a second. Let's start with the pros. So the first thing that I loved about this planner is that it has a monthly, weekly, and a daily view. I was able to use my monthly for any events, appointments, things that have a hard set date. I could just write them down right away and see them whenever it was time to plan for that week. I would just check it every single week and see what was going on and be able to migrate it to the proper week. I love the weekly view because I would actually use this as like a habit tracker specific to content creation. So anytime I would post a YouTube video that week, any type of short form, so YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikToks, I would plug those into the appropriate day with the title. And it was just something cool to look back on to say like, oh, I really was consistent this month or this week. I really killed it. I posted my one video that week on YouTube, and I was able to post all 5 days of the week for short form. And it was just good to track like where I fell off, maybe kind of look at why I fell off, what was going on that week or that month. And it really worked out as a good kind of tracker that way. And then the daily was amazing because I had this entire page with all the space that I could write out the goals in a mind mapping way and have enough space to write down everything that I needed to do for that day, and also have over to the side the time so that I could write in any appointments or meetings that were going on at that specific time throughout the day. Another thing I loved about this system is that it gave me the feeling of using my bullet journal, which is actually one of the ways that I got consistent in planning in like 2018. That was a really good system for me, which we'll get into in a second here, but it gave me the bullet journaling experience without having to take the time to set up all of my spreads monthly, weekly, and daily. So it really helped me cut back on the time and just really focus on the important thing, which was actually getting the plans on paper and executing them. And the last pro was the quality of the paper and also the fact that it was a grid style. I really enjoy writing on grid style and dot grid forms of paper. I don't really like to write online paper at all anymore. I try to avoid it as much as possible. I don't know what it is, but I just can't do it anymore. But I also love the fact that there were spare journaling pages at the end of the planner so that I could brainstorm different projects that I wanted to do or just write out things that I didn't want to forget. And it really came in handy because I was able to write some wedding notes whenever I would take this planner with me. If we were meeting with any type of vendor, I could write notes and have it all in one place. Now, I only have 2 cons for this as well. The first con is dependent upon the person. For me, I found it to be a little bit too big for most of the bags that I tend to carry. I am a minimalist. Well, this is going to change soon, but at the time I did not have any children that required diapers, wipes. I didn't have to carry a lot with me as long as I had some lip products for me and my girls, my wallet, hand sanitizer, the very bare necessities. I wear my hair, curly, so I didn't need any like hair tools. I was carrying very small bags. And so this planner typically did not fit. And it was just kind of a hassle to try to bring around with me. So I really only took it to work or had it sitting on my desk. And then I would have to kind of like make manual to-do list in my phone if I was going to go out and about so that I didn't forget what I was going to do. So I would say maybe the size could be a con for some people. And then the second con, again, is personal preference, but depending on how you utilize this planner, there could be a little bit too much space on the daily planner, or just you find that there's too many different layouts going on throughout the planner. I have heard some people on YouTube say that, and they've kind of switched over to different planner options, some from Hobonichi, which I do have another one that I'll talk about in this video. But that could be something to think about if you don't like a lot of space, or you don't need a lot of space, or you don't want a whole bunch of different layouts. You just want to keep it super, super, super simple. Then maybe this isn't for you. But again, that is a con, that is personal preference. The third method I'm going to talk about is, I hate to say it, my least favorite method that I've ever tried, which is digital planning on an iPad. And I know I'm going to get some stuff in the comments because a lot of people love digital planning on iPads, but I have not been able to come to liking it. I haven't been able to get it to stick for me. And I have tried so many different layouts and templates on Etsy and even from other creators, and it's nothing to do with the actual product. Like, the products have been amazing. All of the templates have been beautiful. Everything has been great. The pricing has been great. It's not that. I think it's the fact, like, the actual experience of digital planning on an iPad. It's very weird because I can Bible study on my iPad. I can take my code study notes on my iPad. I have shared with you guys my code study notes. I've shown you guys that I use my iPad for pretty much everything. I wireframe on my iPad. I take my iPad with me every single day to work because I use it for content creation and, writing out my ideas and using Notion for that. But when it comes to an actual planner where I need to see what I need to do that week or that day or that month, it does not work for me. I like having a physical planner where I can easily and quickly flip through the pages. There's something about that feeling of the pages that just works a lot better for my brain. I've tried, and I know that you can bookmark and hyperlink different pages on your planner for your iPad, but that scrolling, it just doesn't work for me. I get really confused. There's too many pages and templates. I'm like, where did I put this? Where did I put that? And I just don't enjoy it. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. I would love to figure out a way to love digital planning because it is very accessible. I feel like that's one of the pros that I will get into in a second. But if you guys have any tips at all that can get me to like digital planning on an iPad, or if you have experience where you didn't like it at first and now you love it, let me know what changed, like what happened, or how do you approach it? Because I don't know what it is. So 2 of the pros, like I said, 1 is the accessibility. Just like I said with the digital Notion planner, you can access the planner via your phone, your MacBook, your iPad, wherever you have whatever note-taking app that you have imported the planner into. So for me, I was using GoodNotes for all of the planner templates. Anywhere that you can download that app and use it, you can access the planner. So it is very accessible. You can definitely take it with you wherever your phone is, but I still didn't find that reason enough for me to use it because I still didn't get the same. I feel like the difference between using the accessibility for Notion and then the GoodNotes is that for Notion, I had it in a to-do list style, so I could check things off. All I had to do was click it and it would check itself off. Whereas with GoodNotes, you still want to have like maybe a stylus or have to use your fingers to check things off or cross things out because it is in a more writing format, if that makes sense. And I just did not enjoy that. If I'm going to do digital, I want it to be a to-do list checkpoint or check off style where I can just click it and it checks itself off. It marks itself off. But if you are okay with having that method of checking things off, or you don't care about just pressing things, you can actually just write with your finger or a stylus or whatever it is. If you keep your an iPad mini with you and that's okay with you, then this could be a pro, is that it is very accessible and, in a sense, portable. The portability is there. Another pro is, of course, not wasting paper and being good to the environment. So obviously, iPads are digital, they're electronic. You only have to buy once. You only have to buy the app once. You only have to buy your layout once, and then you're good to go. So you're not wasting paper and hurting the environment, I guess. So that is a huge pro. And like I already mentioned, my cons are the fact that I just could not get used to writing in the planner. I couldn't get used to knowing where everything was and feeling that feeling of ease that I get from using a paper planner. Everything was just always overwhelming, and I just didn't have this clear-cut view or like this one-stop shop of like everything that was going on, and I did not like that. So maybe I need to find like the perfect layout and that'll change it, but from the ones that I've tried, they were beautiful and amazing, but they just didn't work for me. And then the last thing, like I said, was the scrolling. Again, I understand that you can hyperlink and you can go back and forth to different layouts between weekly, monthly, daily, whichever one you need to see. But again, it got a little bit overwhelming for me and I just didn't like the whole process. And so that is a con for me, is the amount of scrolling, because I would tend to just end up scrolling anyway, and it just seemed to waste time for me. The 4th method is bullet journaling. I love bullet journaling. I probably will always have a bullet journal no matter what. I'll probably just flip back and forth throughout the year, throughout a bullet journal, because of what it affords me, what I experience when I use a bullet journal. I first found out about bullet journaling in 2016 when I had first had my first baby, and then we moved back to our hometown. And I really wasn't into content creation at the time. I was in the room bored a lot of the times, just sitting there with my baby. if I wasn't at work, and I was watching YouTube and I came across a creator named Amanda Rach Lee. I know you guys have heard of her if you're into the bullet journaling world, and I fell in love. I do not know how to draw, especially not nearly as good as her, but I was still intrigued about the system and the idea of creating your own planning situation from scratch, and you can completely customize it. You can completely, manipulate it to be whatever it is that you want. Any kind of spread that you can come with in your brain, you can just put it on paper and it works for you. If it works for you, then you have it. I know writer Carol was the one who initially created the concept of bullet journaling. So there's a whole thing behind it outside of just, making it pretty and aesthetic. And I feel like over the years, I've kind of fallen into that version, the real version of bullet journaling. But I, again, have some things that just work for me at some points in my life, and sometimes they don't. This year, I purchased one of Amanda Rach Lee's journals. This is my second journal that I purchased from her line, and I absolutely love her journals. They're amazing quality. They last very long. She gives you like a ton of pages to write on. I used it for about 2 months, which is actually probably the least amount of time I've ever been in a bullet journal. And the reason being is because at this point in my life, I don't have the time right now to create those spreads every single month, week, and day. And I just needed something that was completely ready to go, laid out for me, but still minimal. So we'll get into that one. That's actually the last one that I'm going to talk to you guys about, which is my current system. But that's probably like the main reason that I just stopped bullet journaling after just a couple months of being back into one. So my pros for this are going to be the fact that you have complete creative control. If you are someone like me who doesn't like to stick with something for too long, this gives you an outlet to change things up whenever you want, how often you want. You can do it on a monthly basis, a weekly basis, or a daily basis. Everything can be different day to day, week to week, month to month, and I really appreciate that about the bullet journal. Another thing that I love about bullet journaling is the fact that unlike a planner that you purchase that's already built like that, the layouts are pretty much set. They come that way. Bullet journals, you can change your layouts, you can change your structure month to month, week to week, day to day, like I said before. If you get on Pinterest, there are a ton of different examples of how to set up your weeks, months, and days, and you can literally figure out what layouts work for you. Maybe this month habit tracking works for you, and the next month you decide, I don't really need to track anything. I really don't feel like doing all that. You don't have to have it. It doesn't waste paper. You don't waste any type of paper. You can just use it for something else, which I've done that plenty of times. I have implemented spreads and taken them out when I feel like I don't need them if I didn't use them a lot. Like I was using some layouts for, I think cleaning, like a cleaning tracker, but it's like, girl, I'm cleaning up when I can, and I'm gonna stick to like every week. I know I need to clean bathrooms. I need to do this. I don't need to track that. So that's just one example. You can start and stop different systems whenever you want. And that leads me to the last pro, which is starting and stopping whenever you want. Because it is a bullet journal and it's not a dated planner that comes that way, you're not paying for a dated planner that already has the year set out for you. You can pick this up any time of the year, put it down any time of the year, and you're never wasting any paper or any dates or behind or anything like that, because you can start the new month whenever you want to, because it's literally just a blank notebook with dot grid paper. And then for my cons, I only have two. One is, like I said, I got too busy to have the time to sit down and do the layouts every single month, week and day, and it was just too much. I don't have the time for that. I need something that is just ready to go. And the second con kind of piggybacks off of the first one. Because I didn't have time to do those layouts, I was resorting to just using the notes in my iPhone, and I was just making the to-do list with the little checklist that you can do in the Notes app. And because of that, there was no organization. It was just making these random notes that could easily get buried and lost. And then I was just writing out what I wanted to do that day and checking them off as I go. And there was really no archiving system that I like to have. There was no, oh, I can look back at this the next week. I kind of would do it that day and forget about it the next day and not even know it was there. So I like to have everything together. So like I said, if I need to refer back to a previous week for whatever reason, I know where to look, and the Notes app just doesn't really afford that to me. But I was resorting to that because of the lack of time that I had. And my last and final system, if you are still here with me, first of all, thank you. I love you. My last and final system is the Hobonichi Techo weeks. I believe it's Techo. I wanted to say Techo, but I've been hearing everybody say Techo. So the Hobonichi Techo weeks, it is amazing. in my opinion, little sister of the cousin in a way, because it is smaller. But I love the weeks. We're just going to call it the weeks. I love the weeks compared to the cousin because of its size. It's pretty much a larger wallet size, so like a checkbook size. And if you don't have it in like the case that I usually carry it in, then you have an even smaller thing to work with, because the notebook itself is not as thick, of course, and it's not like as big. They do have like a mega version, but I have the regular version because I just wanted to see if I liked it. Now this is a dated version. I don't know if they have an undated version, but I do have a dated version, so I am missing a whole half of the year. But to me, I didn't really care because I just wanted to see if I liked it, because if I did, then I would go ahead and get it for the beginning of next year and have it for an entire year. And I love the planner because you can see everything at a glance for the whole week. This planner is set up in a very similar way to how I had my bullet journal set up, where I would have one page in a entire space to just brain dump my entire week and all the things that I wanted to get done that week that I could just think off the top of my head. I have a section where I can write things that I want to remember for next week. I'm just not there yet to plop them in. And then I have my daily section where I can actually write in events and things that have a hard due date. So any practices or appointments my kids might have, anything like that where I know they have a set date and time, I have a section for that. And then I have a space to write out my to-do lists that are 98% pulled from the brain dump list that I have on the side. So I love the weeks because, again, it gives me the bullet journal aspect that I was looking for, but the layouts are already there. I don't have to worry about doing any layouts. I just have to get in and write and just get it out of my head and start the process of executing my plans. So I've only been in this planner system for maybe a month now, maybe 3 weeks. It hasn't been that long, but because I have experience with the bullet journal and the Hobonichi Cousin, I feel like I've already been familiar with this layout, so I kind of have a good feel for how I'm using it. And I can say that I don't really have any cons right now. Again, I've only been using this for a couple weeks, and so maybe there are some that might come up later, but as of right now, I really don't have any cons, and I don't see myself not using this at least for the next few months. Again, I am somebody who will use whatever works best for me at that time, but right now it kind of gives me all the things that I was looking for in all the other systems. So the ease of having everything already laid out for you, the fact that I can see everything at a glance, the fact that I still get my monthly, so I can still plop everything in. And if I have like future appointments, I have a place to put them without having to wait. And then I use my Google Calendar in conjunction to this planner for anything that needs to be migrated. So any doctor appointments that I need, I usually put them in my Google Calendar because I like to have a way to be alerted of them, which obviously I can't with paper. But I can also look at those every single week. I look at my Google Calendar and then I plop in whatever's going on that week into my Hobonichi weeks. So been loving this system so far. This is what I'm currently using. Again, no cons here. And so I will keep you guys updated. If you guys want to know more about this system or more about the planner, let me know, because I love talking about planners and stuff. But this is what I'm doing, guys. I keep everything super minimal. I keep everything straight to the point, and that's what works for me. The more I try to complicate things, the more I don't get stuff done. So there you have it, guys. Those are all the planning systems that I have tried for 2024 so far. This is July, so for the first half of the year. And I really hope that it inspired you to go find your own planning system, or maybe you have found something within this video that you want to try. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I really appreciate you for being here, especially if you made it to this point, because it is probably going to be a longer video. But again, I hope that you find something that can give you what they call planner peace, and know that it's okay that if you find something that works for you this month, but it might not work for you next month, that it's okay to switch things up and change things around and pivot, but also be mindful and don't allow it to distract you from the ultimate goal, which is getting your goals hit and getting things done. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, you know that, and I will see you guys in the next one.